Welcome, my name is Kelly.
My name's Jamie.
And this is Fanimated, an animation fan podcast where we get a chance to geek out about our favorite animated media.
Wow!
And today we're talking about the Mitchells versus the Machines. This is a Sony animation picture available on Netflix, and it is the funniest thing I have watched in many a month.
It's real good, you guys. It's real. It's, oh my goodness.
I honestly don't think I've laughed, like out loud belly laughed this much in a really long time.
I think I felt that way too, for sure. There's definitely like 3 or 4 coming to mind right now, and I'm sure I'll think of more moments, is what I meant to say. Moments that come to mind right now, and I'm sure I'll think of more later that were just incredible. And like, this is so much funnier than I expected it to be. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yes. And we'll get into all of the jokes and laughs and giggles. And to start off though, just like really quick, as soon as this started, it felt to me like a Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs movie. Like, that's like the vibe, you know? That's the humor, that's the like style of storytelling. And then I was also like, oh, Sony is using their Spiderman Into the Spider-Verse like technology for this artistic style. And then I looked into it and I was like, oh, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller are the producers of this movie, and that's why I'm thinking about both of those other movies into this movie, because they worked on Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So that
Gotcha,
makes
that does make sense. Yeah.
That it's like a merging of those two worlds. But they're using and please go back and listen to the Fanimated episode on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, because I absolutely love that film. We actually do have a Fanimated episode on Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, because I love that movie so much. But in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, they're doing, and it honestly is still my favorite, like, technically animated film, like, just how it's done. And they have like 3D models, 3D animation like normal, and then they layer on top of it 2D animation. But what they have connected to is not even 2D animation. It's like the rig itself has, these like accented lines on their face that move in certain ways along with the 3D model, if that makes sense at all.
Okay.
Definitely, go look into that. Go look into it's really fascinating. But that's that same technology they're bringing into this film. So when you see the Mitchells, for example, Katie is talking. There are what looks like 2D lines across her face, her jawline or something. But then she'll turn, and those lines will change. So it's still animating the 3D model, but you also have these other 2D accent lines and features that are changing depending on how they move, basically.
Interesting. Okay. Huh. I was watching this and I was thinking a few times, this reminds me of Spider-Verse, but I have no idea why, and I don't know the vocabulary. My brain was like, frame rate? Is that a thing? Is that a term that people say? Frame rate? I don't know. And that's all I got to before I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna watch this movie and have fun.
It's an animation thing.
Yeah.
No, but Spider-Verse did have an unusual frame rate, and I don't know the frame rate.
Okay, that is a thing. Okay. Okay.
The frame rate style of the Mitchells versus the Machines, I don't know for sure. But I know in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, they did, like, I'd have to go back and look at my notes for that, if they increased it or dropped it to some strange degree so that there was either more or less frames per second. But regardless, they're clearly using a lot of that same technology into the Mitchells versus the Machines, and it's really exciting to see that because Spider-Verse is such a phenomenally executed animated feature, and I can't wait to see even further along what Sony does with that technology. So, Jamie, could you give us a quick synopsis of what The Mitchells versus the Machines is about?
I would just gosh darn love to do that. So Mitchells versus the Machines, I'm a big fan of this premise because you introduce, there's this quirky family, right? And the daughter is the main character. She's about to go off to college, so she's like end of high school age, and she has a much younger brother, and she has parents who are like, they're great, but they don't always completely understand each other, and she kind of has some trouble relating to her dad, especially, and they get in arguments a lot. So the setup is like it's this family drama, right? And then after like 20 minutes or maybe a bit longer, the world ends and gets overtaken by robots. And, like, that's a pretty good hook, right? That is a pretty good movie setup, especially for a goofy family comedy. I'm definitely a big fan. And they just have to, like, they're just like, well, what do we do now? So now, what's the plan? So they have to try to find a way to save the world and also get over their issues at the same time. And it takes full advantage of the goofiness of that setup, especially since this is, like, a PG movie, so it's not going to be terribly serious and grim all the time, you know? So they take full advantage of the silliness they're offered with that, and, like, if we're not talking about the ending and stuff yet, that's probably it for now.
Yeah, that's a good, like, starter synopsis of what's happening in this film. It is very much, the external conflict is robots have taken over the world. The internal conflict, Katie needs to get along with her dad.
Yeah. Yes, excellent.
Simple, straightforward, and executed to perfection, in my personal opinion.
Oh yeah. I was having, like, there were no scenes or plot lines where it would go to it, and I was like, oh, this part's kind of boring. I hope they get back to the other thing. No, I'm just having a great time. This is all weird and sometimes kind of dumb in a very, very enjoyable way, and, like, I can't wait to see what happens next, even if it's very, very straightforward and silly. Let's do it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I was a big fan.
Dumb in a very, very enjoyable way is probably the best way to put this.
Oh, good. Yeah.
It is a weird movie. It is weird in, like, its humor. It is weird in its style. Like, what's so great, too, about this animation style is Katie is, like, the quote-unquote weird kid, okay? She's, like, making movies and, like, she's posting them on YouTube and she's all crazy. And so what the animators have done is created what they call, quote-unquote, Katie vision, in which there will be things that happen and then doodles and, like, actual, like, other random pictures will be pasted on top of it to create this big whole, like, woo! It's am I explaining that properly?
No,
Are you
no,
guys getting a mental picture?
I genuinely didn't realize until now that was supposed to be, like, how she was seeing the world. I didn't put that together, and I feel very foolish. I thought it was just like a fun, quirky thing to do for their movie. It never even occurred to me that, like, that's because of her, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's really fun. Holy cow! I can't believe I didn't think of that.
Yeah, because she's has such a creative mind, and she just sees the world in such a different way, which ultimately is, like, you know, the thing she has to realize about her and her dad is, like, I mean, they definitely see the world differently, but they're also very similar, right? Because she has this great passion for her art and her films, and she discovers, you know, her father's passion, you know, for his work in the outdoors and how important that is to him, and so it's just a really beautiful story and a beautiful relationship, and it's, like, just emphasized in their crazy personalities, because Katie is definitely, like, out there, crazy, just go, and then her dad is also crazy, but is, again,
I was, like, gonna say, practical. In some ways, he kind of is too. Yeah.
Yeah. They are. They're both crazy in different ways.
Yeah,
for sure.
he's very odd and off the wall in ways that she finds super embarrassing because she's a teenager, and she's crazy and off the walls in ways that he just genuinely doesn't get. He's completely lost. Like, he'll see one of her videos or something, and he just has this expression on his face that is so perfectly like, I am trying to engage with this, but I have no idea what's happening. And like,
yes,
in a way, I kind of get that, honestly.
Yes.
I can't fault him too much for that. Like, yeah.
I mean, us old people watching TikToks and we're like, what?
yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah.
So I already relate to that feeling. Yes, and so, you know, they don't always get along, and, you know, their mom and her brother are the ones trying to, like, coach them through it.
Oh my lord.
Which is so good.
It's
so good.
It's so silly. And, like, they don't realize that they're both doing it. Like, there's a scene where the dad, Rick, is trying to find the words to say to, like, try to make things better with his daughter, but he can't think of what to say. So we see the camera pan over to where the mom is holding up a whiteboard with like a bunch of encouraging and helpful, comforting things to say. And that's pretty good, right? But then like 15 minutes later in a completely different scene, the daughter is also trying, she's like, you know, I guess I'll do my best here, and she's trying to think of what to say. And we cut over to her brother, and he's doing the same thing. He's holding up a whiteboard, and it's like really childish handwriting, but it's like, I'm sorry, Dad, I will try to listen to you more.
Yes! Oh my
so
God.
Good. They're both trying to be
good.
like life coaches for their dysfunctional family. Yeah.
Yes, they are. It's so great. And that I really enjoyed that the brother, you know, the younger brother isn't like the typical like annoying younger brother. He's like very supportive, and like he and Katie are really close friends, and you know, they get along really well, and the mom is great. I'm always a big fan of good animated moms. I mean, if you listen to this podcast enough, you will hear me talk about it all the time. Because
right.
animated moms don't get enough credit, and when they're done well, I really appreciate that. And she is just so supportive of her crazy husband and her crazy daughter, and like she is just there for them, even if she doesn't necessarily agree all the time or would take a different route, you know. And you know, even their mom like goes through her own struggles too, of like wanting to have the quote unquote perfect family like their neighbors. Their neighbors are like we're doing yoga and eating vegan food and posting on Instagram, we're all perfect. And then she's like, I have this dysfunctional family.
Yeah. They'll have like a picture of them all jumping in perfect unison with like a sunset in the background.
Yeah.
And they're just looking at it, they're like, how did they take this picture? that doesn't even make sense.
And she's over here like, even our dog is weird.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, their dog is amazing. Dog. Oh my gosh.
Why can I never remember that fool's name? It's like
Machi or Maji or
maybe it is Manchi.
Manchi. Yes.
Their dog is fantastic. He doesn't really do much. He's just kind of sitting whenever he's in frame. He's just kind of there, and everyone loves him, and like he accomplishes very little.
He does absolutely nothing.
They just kind of carry him around all the time. Yeah,
he is like their mascot for sure. It's Monchi, Monchi. Monchi.
Okay, that's it. Which is it's a fantastic name for a dog that always just has a vacant stare and does nothing.
Even better, the in the cast list it says played by Doug the Pug.
Oh, did they get a real dog to do dog noises?
That's what awesome. It sounds like to me, which is super fun. Just side note, Doug the Pug is a dog living in Nashville, Tennessee, who has gained a large internet and social media following and has reached the status of a quote-unquote celebrity dog.
Well, yeah. I mean, so voice acting is a tough gig, yeah.
Yeah, go find Doug the Pug. Sounds like a great dog.
Right. Oh, my goodness.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So it's a crazy family, and I love them all so much.
I'm such a big fan of how the brother and sister characters don't hate each other. Like, that is so refreshing. Why is that so hard to do? I don't understand why this is such a big issue. But like, you see the beginning of the movie and they're on screen and they're like genuinely having a good time and they're good friends. And like, they argue a little bit later on in the movie, but it is not like our entire personalities are defined around fighting each other. Like, that's so nice to see. I don't know why it happens so rarely.
It really is super rare, and it's so refreshing and so nice because, yeah, like, they do, like, they, even from the very beginning, they don't always agree, and they do, like, have arguments, but honestly, it's in the heat of very intense, stressful situations, so I'm like, okay, I get it. But like you said,
I'm inclined to give you a pass on that one, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And as you said, like, it's not their entire personality, which that I feel like is often the case. Oh, you're just the, sibling character who is going to cause conflict for this protagonist or something. And it's like, okay, well, it's so much more genuine and sweet that, like, everyone in this family honestly has a really sweet and wholesome relationship. And even though obviously, it's about Rick and Katie trying to get along, and they don't see eye to eye, they do get there and they do, try to understand each other. And it clearly, what I like the best is that there's family conflict, and they move through that conflict, but it's not necessarily just like super happy it's going to be super easy. I think they really recognize the struggle and the constant everyday work that you have to put in to have good relationships with people, especially your family.
Yeah, I can get that. I paused for a second because I was thinking of like how that, because it does kind of pop up a few times now that I think about it. There's a couple of times where I assumed they were 100% playing it straight of like, this is a very obvious wholesome family moment, and then they like make you realize that there's more to it though. There's like, sometimes it's comedic, sometimes it's but wait, there's more story happening, there's a lot of fun ways that they play with what you expect a family drama movie to be like, because it is not as perfectly straightforward as that. Like, Absolutely. Even, which is odd because I just earlier said that the plot is straightforward, and that is true, but, like, the family relationships aren't, Yeah,
all of the relational dynamics are nuanced, and there's a lot that every relationship has to do to develop and grow and change, and, it's very clearly, like, I think it's a very honest depiction of family, because it's like, we're not all the same people. We don't all understand things the same way. And we're just, all we can do is work hard to understand each other better.
Yeah. That's pretty much the thesis of the movie, probably. Like, the difficulty of trying to navigate those, even though sometimes it seems like there are a few moments where both Katie and Rick both kind of feel like, this is hopeless. Like, I can't understand this person, and I can't get them to understand me. And like, it doesn't go super dark or anything like that, but you do kind of feel that sense of like, what do I do? Because it feels like you've kind of tried everything, And like, obviously they do find a way to work through that, but I can also understand the frustration and sort of not bleak or hopeless exactly, but like, it can kind of seem that way sometimes, And I really like the way they showed that. Yeah. Absolutely.
I completely agree. The other big theme of this film is a pretty common one nowadays, the dangers of technology.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, good Lord.
Of course, it's a smartphone that takes over the world. Somehow has enough resources to build an army of robots that traps literally every human on the planet. But hey, it's animated media. We can do what we want.
And it's started by like the most obvious Mark Zuckerberg type. Like they're not. Well, it's like a combination of Zuckerberg and like whoever does all those big Apple big stage like machine presentations, and like there's a bit where he's like, wait a minute, you were looking through people's emails? That seems like a dangerous abuse of corporate power. And then they're both quiet for a second and then just burst out laughing. And like, yeah, no, that checks out. That was a good line. That was very... That feels pretty on the nose for 2021 for sure.
Absolutely. And what's great is that, like, I mean, this world, everything is run by this system that called PAL. Like their phones, their cars, their, like, every piece of technology has, you know, some sort of chip in it or something, right?
Yeah.
And so, of course, it's the dad with his stick shift car and, like, you know, who, like, trashes everyone's phones once the world is ending. Like, they can't track us and all these things.
Oh my lord.
And it's like, oh, analog things are actually like the things that save the world. Not all this technology. And with that, what happens, they go to a mall to like try to, you know, upload the kill code and stop everything. And literally everything comes to attack them because everything is automated. Everything is technology. Even like the tennis racket. That's what it was.
Yeah. It was a smart tennis racket.
Smart tennis racket. Which, by the way, that scene was great in the weirdest and best way because an army of Furbies comes and attacks
Furby
them.
scene. Y'all, you need to go try... Well, I'm sure it was in the trailer, so you've probably already seen a bit of it. But, like, if you have Netflix, like, and you don't want to... And you feel like, I could watch this movie, but I don't have an hour and a half, just skip to the middle and watch the Furby scene. Like, that's all you need. And then you're going to want to watch the rest of the movie because of the Furby scene. It's amazing.
Yes. It's absolutely hilarious. I almost don't even... Like, obviously, we've talked about a lot of things, and spoiler warning, I did not give that earlier, but, like, I will say, I'm going to leave how the Furby scene ends just up to you guys.
Oh, that's a good idea, yeah.
Because there is a particular crazy, even crazier than an army of Furbies coming to attack is what happens after that.
Yeah, so there is more. Oh boy.
But it's brilliant and hilarious. And again, I am laughing out loud watching this movie. I cannot stress that enough. Absolutely just perfect and hilarious.
I think that mall scene also had my personal favorite moment, which is there's a bit where everything is coming to life and they have to fight their way through appliances and like stuff in the sports gear section, which was hilarious because they shouldn't have had chips in them, but they did. But the absolute best moment in the middle of all that is Aaron's like, Dad, I don't know what to do. Help me. There's an army of vacuums. And it pans over. And they're not exactly vacuums. They're Roombas. And they're all just like, we are going to kill you. We have our mission. But then they go over an escalator. And in the exact same voice, every single one of them is just like, ouch, ouch, oh no, ouch, oh gracious, ouch, this is shameful, ouch.
They can't make it down the escalator.
Just keep tumbling down.
Oh my gosh.
Robots falling down the stairs may be the, like, and this is giving the game away as someone who's like very immature, but that might be the funniest thing that exists in this world of ours to me is robots falling downstairs. And I didn't even know this about myself until like this week. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
And now we know robots falling down the stairs.
Robots falling down the stairs.
Make Jamie laugh.
I could watch an entire movie of robots falling down the stairs. Yeah.
Robots falling down the stairs, coming to theaters.
That would be a good name. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. So what are some of your other favorite scenes or moments?
Oh boy, I'm so glad you asked because God, if there's any serious ones, I feel like we've mostly covered that. I don't want to forget anything, but I feel like we mostly covered those because it is a really sweet story. There really is a lot to love about that aspect of it, and I don't want to ignore that. But in terms of just the funniest moments, I want to give a medal to whoever came up with the idea when they were storyboarding and writing out the script, and they were thinking like, hey, we could probably use we could use a few more characters. You know, there's some scenes in the middle we could flesh out some more, get some more goofs, get some more laughs. What characters do we want to add to this story? And someone in that room said, wait a minute. what if two of the robots go defective and start losing like their kill code programming and stuff and become just like the doofiest goofy guys and just hang out with them for the rest of the movie and like draw faces on their robot face masks and stuff. And someone pointed to that guy and was like, you get a raise. You are in charge of Sony Entertainment now. You win. You win all of it. Because these two robots, I don't even remember their names, but they are so dumb. And it's so good.
So good. Oh my god.
They get hurt or damaged or something in one of the big fight scenes. So they lose their protocol. That's the word I was looking for. That's telling them to capture all the humans. So they're just kind of wandering around and being like, what is my purpose? And of course the family is like sort of just adopts them into their little road trip clan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're just they're like running away from the other robots who are shooting at them, and they're like, guys, you need to get those robots. And they just look at each other and they're like, I found one. Hey, I found one too. Yay, we win.
Because they found each other.
And that's really the moral of the story. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely the best.
They named themselves Eric and Deborah Bot.
That was Deborah Bot.
Deborah Bot.
Oh, I forgot about that. You're right. Oh my gosh, they drew little faces.
They drew faces on them. They're trying to convince the Mitchells that they are humans, and so they're like, they grab a marker in full view and draw faces on themselves, and then they take food and like slam it into their masks, like, we are normal. It is so good, and they're just absolute dummies, and that it's hilarious and wonderful and perfect, and they get adopted by the Mitchells basically, and they're just a blast.
At one point, I think they must have just decided on something, or they just came up with a plan or something, and one of them draws eyebrows on himself, but they're like angry, so they're pointed down, and he's like, I'm scary now.
Yes,
it's so good. Oh my gosh, the humor and the timing of the humor is really top notch. I'm a big fan.
Perfect. Yeah, agreed. One of my favorite characters is Pal, is the villain.
Oh yeah.
And here's why: because she is just this little cell phone, but she has all the robots carry her around and stuff, you know.
Right.
And then at one point, she's like so mad. She's like,
"Oh yeah."
Put me on the table. I want to flop around in a rage. And so she put her on the table, and she's just like, like a phone vibrating. And so she's just like vibrating to like get herself to move up, and it just plops back down. And just like, so
the other robots are just like standing around the table, just watching this happen, just like waiting for her to be done. Yeah.
Yes, it's so funny. And one of my favorite things too, and I honestly kind of was expecting them to explore this a little more, is one of the like reasons she says that she's getting rid of the humans is she's like, none of you have given me a single reason why humans are worth saving. And part of that, the funny part of that, is that she's like, and don't tell me the power of love or something. Because that's the trope in like all the movies, which, by the way, I am a fan of that very cheesy trope of love conquers all, let's be real. But I thought that was absolutely hilarious how that's stated. But also, I was kind of figuring like maybe Katie's creativity or something like that would be a thing in Humans Worth Saving. But ultimately, at the end of the film, they just win by beating everyone up.
Yeah.
And so, like, she's like, okay, great. But also, I would have liked
That's
there to be...
That's not what I was expecting.
No, I guess
really...
I was kind of hoping for a little bit more of like, oh, what point are they going to make about what is it in Humans Worth Saving? Maybe it's going to be Katie and Rick's relationship, and that's going to be something in Humans Worth Saving, like that would have been cool. But they totally like throw away that possibility, and they just have Linda beat everyone up, basically.
They just destroy them all. It's okay. There's two things in support of that ridiculous point. The first one is that there's this moment like I don't think it was quite at the end, so I probably should have expected that this is not going to go the way I thought it was, but I didn't. It caught me totally by surprise. There's a moment where Katie gets captured, and Pal asks her that exact question. She's like, hey, why should I even consider saving humans, right? And Katie gives this whole speech. It's like maybe a minute or two about, like, how relationships are difficult and they're complicated and people let each other down, but they're still worth fighting for because, like, family and the love you have for your fellow man is, like, it is messy and it's complicated, but it is better than not having it at all, right? And it's this very impassioned, emotional thing. And, like, she gets to the end and Pal went into sleep mode because she was so bored.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't believe they got me. I can't believe I didn't see that coming. Like, they absolutely got me. Because I was fully expecting that to, like, if not change her mind, at least make her think about it. And then I looked down to the progress bar and I'm like, oh, we still have 40 minutes in this movie. Like, the egg on my face, yeah. So that is hilarious. But also, the ending, like you said, where instead of resolving that question, they just beat him up. Like, the reason that was really oddly charming to me is because, one, I didn't expect it, but two, like, a lot of animated movies have a big, cheesy dance number with, like, pop music at the end, right?
Yes,
it happens a lot.
Yes.
And it's not really my favorite because sometimes it can drag on and sometimes it can be a little bit hard to watch, and it's just how awkward and cringy it is. I've never seen it done with the super happy, peppy music and, like, fun dancing and all the characters are into it and stuff, while they are also massacring their enemies, and ripping them apart in a brutal fashion.
Yeah.
I did not expect that. That was really not what I saw coming. And that was unique. That was something.
Unique,
that sure
for
was
sure.
something. And their mom and Linda just, like, goes into some kind of berserker, like, Mad Max style rage where she, like, changes her whole outfit and she's, like, spearing the robots through the heart with some kind of metal. It's absolutely bonkers. But they're still singing this really happy Rihanna song. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, this whole movie is just wild. Absolutely bonkers. It is high energy. It is colorful, crazy. I honestly, even not only just because it's really well done, it's beautiful, and, like, the style is just so interesting and different, but also because it's just hilarious, and I think a lot of people will find you will laugh at something. There's going to be at least a couple jokes in here that are going to land for you. And so I highly, highly encourage people to watch it who haven't yet.
It's one. Just when you said that, I was trying to cycle through, like, different characters and different scenes if there was any big moments that I was forgetting. But, like, it is one of the funniest depictions of, like, like the trope of we have one of our characters who, like, sees someone that they like or their crush, and we have to show how they react to that. Like, that in itself is kind of done a lot, and it's a bit of a trope, but it's one of the funniest examples of it I've ever seen. Because
it is so good.
Because
it's so funny.
The kid, what did they say? He's like 9 or something?
Yeah, he's
so
very
like this
young.
makes perfect sense that, like, he sees this person and there's, like, music and slow-mo and you realize, oh, okay, he has a crush on her. But what you're not expecting is him to say, no, I didn't say anything, shut up, I hate you, and then run away and run into a wall.
And, like, he
just
malfunctions.
doesn't know. Yeah, he did. He absolutely did.
Oh,
He's like one of the robots.
Robots. Oh my goodness. Just the fact that Rick says robots instead of robots actually, it killed me every time. Rick and the robots.
Rick is Rick is a great character the more I think about it, cuz, like,
pure gold.
The when we were talking about the technology thing of how, like, on the surface level it's very obvious that the whole theme of like, oh, technology is taking over the world. Like, there's that, and that's a real thing in this movie. But also, they really do a good job of poking fun in the other direction, where Rick is like way too anti-technology. Like, we see the joke of the family sitting around the dinner table and they're all looking at their phones, right? Like, everyone has done that joke, right? But Rick sees that and he says, hey, no more. We're going to put our phones down and we're going to have 10 seconds of uninterrupted family eye contact where they're all just staring at each other and nothing happens. And, like, you suddenly realize, like, oh, okay, we're doing both directions of this joke. That's so much more interesting. That's so much better. And, like...
Yes.
You have the robots taking over the world because technology is bad. But to save the world, Rick has to figure out how to work YouTube.
Oh my goodness, that was one of the best scenes. Like, it's the middle of the climax of the film, and he's got to, like, figure out how YouTube works, and it does not go well.
If he can upload this video, he can save the human race. But he can't do it. Somehow the language gets switched to Spanish. He keeps getting, like, different pop-ups about, like, different extensions and stuff, and, like, I felt terrible for him. But he's just like, I don't know, yes, and then he tries to hit enter, but he misses, and, like, some other website that isn't YouTube comes up. It's just a disaster.
And the best, like, oh my goodness, how they bring it back around is at the very end. Katie's like, Dad, thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel. And he's like,
oh yeah,
it was worth it. And then they cut to, like, this horror film type thing of him and Linda with the keyboard and, like, trying to figure out how to just get subscribed to her YouTube channel. Oh my gosh, it was so good. It's gold. This whole movie
him, like,
gold.
smashing the keyboard.
Oh my gosh, it was just like, it's so well done. So well done. It's so funny.
That was
definitely
really
my
wild.
humor, at least. I love it.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of This is a little abrupt, but I'm switching subjects a little bit. I'm a big fan of how they use the music in this movie.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
maybe like a third or a half of it was pop music, and that went really well, I think. Obviously there was the big, it's not Rihanna. She was just a guest on it. The song is actually by someone else. It's the remix of the Numa Numa song, but then they added in a bunch of more stuff. This was really big, like 10 years ago, I think. So I think the song might be called "Live Your Life." I could be wrong about that, but that's like the big pop song that they work into a couple different scenes. But there's that. There's a couple other ones. The original music for the robot scenes especially is really good. It is very synth heavy. It's very, like, you instantly know we're in some kind of dystopia because the robots are running the planet. And there is some songs I didn't expect. There were songs from Sigur Rós. If any of y'all know who that is, like, that is one of the most eclectic, strange, abstract, very artsy bands out there. And I didn't see that coming at all. I heard a little bit of one of the songs in this movie, and I was like, wait a minute, I know this song. So I have to, like, go through all the credits very slowly to try to find it. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the music. I think that turned out super good.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really good to hear. You definitely have an ear for music. You're the music guy.
I'm the music guy.
You're the music guy. I've said it before. Jamie writes all of his own music for his podcast, Night's Quest. That's Night's Quest with a K.
That's true.
It's true. So yeah, that's good to hear, because, like, it's one of those things that's like music and sound design that sometimes to me are just kind of like, are definitely just invisible things I don't think about at all.
Right.
And so for someone who, like, has your ear attuned for it and, like, is really paying attention to it, it's really cool to hear that. So cool.
Yeah, but, well, sometimes they want it to be almost unnoticeable, like they want it to be so natural sounding that you don't even really pay attention to it because it just fits perfectly. And that's pretty awesome too. Like, I would say I'm sure there's a ton of music I wasn't paying attention to in this movie because I was so focused in on all of the ridiculous shenanigans that were happening. Oh my goodness.
A lot of really wonderful, ridiculous shenanigans.
Yeah.
And just just a blast. I will definitely be rewatching this film. Like, it's one of those that I'm gonna, if I need something just funny and wholehearted, that's what I'm gonna be turning on for sure. So.
Oh, they do something really wonderful with the credits. This does not necessarily have to do with animation, but like they took the time to. Obviously, they couldn't do it for everyone because there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. But for a huge chunk of the people who worked on this movie, they put real photos of them in the credits. But they're like old family photos, so they have like their relatives around, and like I'm sure they look completely different from how they do now. And like there's little arrows pointing to the person. It's like, this is the person who worked on the da-da-da team, and like they, especially since family memories and family photos are such a big part of the movie. So that just felt really sweet, and that was very that was a really cool thing to do that really just makes you feel more fond of the movie as a whole by the end. That was really cool.
I thought that was really, really sweet. Like, it's just a nice little, like, personal touch that really just wraps up the movie so well. And, of course, it's all, like, colorful and in the KD Vision style and very fun. Yeah. So
there's, like, little doodles that are moving and being animated and stuff. I think I texted this to you. One of them is cycling between a dog and a pig and a loaf of bread. Because the robots... This becomes a major plot point, okay? This becomes an integral part of the movie. The robots, when they see Manchi, they can't tell what kind of animal he is, and their systems crash. Because they're like, is it a dog? Is it a pig? Is it a dog and a pig? Wait a minute, I think it's a loaf of bread. And at that point, they just stop working because he's such an unknowable anomaly that he destroys their systems. It's absolutely magical.
He becomes the shield, the robot shield.
They use it as a part of their plan. They like put him in front. They like strap him to the front of the car.
And no robot can get past him. It's so great. So great.
Oh my lord. They have really fun ideas with all I guess all 6 of the main characters. By the time they get to the big fights at the end, they have really fun ideas with everyone in the family and also the dog and also the goofy robots. So like they because they've spent so much time with their weirdness and their goofiness during the rest of the movie, all 6 of them are able to do just the most bizarre stuff during the fight, and it's really fun. Yeah.
So again, please watch this film. Let us know what you think of it. What characters and jokes are your favorite? And you know, I personally am really excited to see what else Sony has up their sleeve. So thank you guys so much for listening. The music is provided by Purple Planet Music. The art is done by myself. You can find me on Instagram at CandorDraw. And if you'd like to vote for upcoming episodes, hear bonus episodes, and see a lot of other content, go to patreon.com/Fanimated. And you can, for as little as $1 a month, become part of the Fanimated crew over there. And I really, really, as always, appreciate everyone who is already supporting us there. You make this podcast possible. Jamie, tell us about your podcast.
Oh, yeah, sure. Knight's Quest is a fantasy role-playing podcast, sort of in the vein of some D&D podcasts out there. It is a comedic, improvised story. We are making it up as we go along. It's all fantasy. It's all like a big, crazy, magical world where our characters are bumbling through and trying to solve mysteries and get stuff done. And I am one of the main characters. I also work on the music for the show. It does use harsh language, so you want to be careful of that if that's not your thing. It can be found on all podcasting platforms I can think of. Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, the whole shebang. So give us a listen, yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about Knight's Quest is that every random side joke that you make has to become canon in your universe.
We have a rule that if somebody makes a really dumb joke and it gets us to start laughing, it has to be canon, and no matter how dumb it was, it's part of the story now. Yeah, it has gotten us in some trouble sometimes. Yeah,
and I will just leave that there's a mystery of the cows, and I will just leave that there for anyone who is intrigued.
That one really got out of hand. Oh dear.
That's what I love about it. Well, thank you, Jamie, so much for joining me today to talk about The Mitchells versus the Machines. This was really great.
Absolutely, yeah, I loved it. I'm glad I was recommended this movie, and now I finally had an excuse to stop putting it off and go watch it, and I'm so glad I did.
Yes! As always, making my friends watch animated media.
Yep.
So thank you again. And a reminder, Fanimated is currently on a bi-weekly schedule. So we will have a new episode out in 2 weeks from today. Emma and I are finally going to be talking about The Dragon Prince. So while you're on Netflix, head on over to The Dragon Prince and check it out if you haven't already. Yes, definitely one of my favorite animated series of recent times.
That was such a fun surprise to suddenly hear about. Or it's like, wait a minute, there's something new coming out from people who worked on Avatar? Like, what is this? And then you actually watch the show, and it's so good. It's so cool and interesting.
It's so fun. It's such a creative world and such charming characters. So really excited to talk about that for sure. So in the meantime, everyone, stay tuned.
And stay animated.
Soren is my favorite character because he's the big idiot.
Everybody loves Soren. He's so good. I wish I could remember the exact wording, but whenever I think of Soren, I think of the bit where I think he has the egg. I think it's like in like a cart of hay. And he's like pushing it out of the castle.
Oh, I
and
just
it's
recently.
glowing.
Yeah, I watched this episode. No, he becomes the mastermind of getting Ez out of the castle, like help Ez escape.
Ez out. Yes, that's right. Okay.
And so it's Bait. Bait and Ez are in the hay, and he's going along the bridge and is like, hay is great. Hay for the hungry horses.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.